liner notes. My name is David Bixler. For nearly 40 years, trumpeter Joe Magnarelli has been a fixture on the New York City jazz scene, gracing the bandstands of icons like Brother Jack McDuff, Lionel Hampton, Toshiko Akiyoshi, and Harry Connick Jr. While playing with these legends, he continued to hone skills in a variety of small groups, both as a sideman and a leader. His latest work, Concord, is a testament to that unyielding drive. The title, a word defined as agreement or harmony between people or groups, is a fitting reflection of the music on this album. This new recording, his third for the SteepleChase label, finds Magnarelli in a quartet setting featuring pianist Victor Gould, bassist Paul Sikivie, and drummer Rodney Green. Joe Magnarelli, good morning. Welcome to the Line Notes. Thanks for getting up and meeting with us at the crack of dawn here. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you, Bix.
New record came out earlier this summer on SteepleChase entitled Concord with Victor Gould on piano, Paul Sikivie on bass, and Rodney Green on drums. A mixture of some jazz tunes, some standards, and then some originals, which I wanted to delve into. But do I understand this is your third recording for SteepleChase?
For SteepleChase, was my third solo record, yeah.
Okay, cool. And then tell me about this rhythm section. You mentioned that Paul has been busy as of late, but was this a working band as you went into the studio? It was recorded in 24 about a year ago. Were you guys gigging at Smalls, whatever, like getting this together, or just come together for the date?
Yeah, we had a number of gigs, probably working together for maybe a year, on and off, here and there. Probably did like 15 gigs or something like that. And yeah, so when Nils had called me to make this date, and I said, yeah, no problem. I got, I've been playing with these cats, and so we did it. It was nice. It was cool.
All right. How much direction do you get from him as far as material?
With Nils, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he likes original material. I think some of it's financially driven, but basically encourages you to write. Now he takes some of the rights to that music, but I'm thinking like, who else is going to give me anything for it? You know what I'm saying? So I'd rather do the deal with him. So it works out okay for me, man. But he definitely encourages original music. Yes.
I get that, like 100% ownership is cool, but 100% of zero is still zero, right? So, if he's capable of getting out there, because he has such a track record, of what he's doing. For me, I mean, great record. And it was good to hear your band last week in Zinc, man, swinging, nothing that didn't shock me. And, but, one of the things, Moonlight in Vermont was one of the first tunes I learned, like, as a kid, because it was my dad's favorite tune. And I think I read someplace online that maybe you had played this with Walt Weiskopf or something. How did this, like, tune land on your radar?
Wow. I don't know. That's a good question. I think I used to play it actually with Fusco, but way back in the day.
Okay.
I think that's really where I got it from. And also Look for a Silver Lining also. He taught me both those tunes. But yeah, I might have played it with Walt maybe. I'm not I don't know. It's I don't know about that, but yeah, definitely a nice tune. You learned it with your dad. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, 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 he said, "You gotta learn this," and then, I mean, and the one I mean, you can't really, like, learn this tune from this recording, but you probably know, Billie Holiday, "Lady in Satin."
Sure,
Yeah, and that's man,
what a record, man.
break your heart in half, but, for sure. Now, with, some of the other standards, man, like, you mentioned look for the silver lining. There's also It's a Blue World, which I wasn't familiar with until I heard you, at Zinc, and then Baubles, Bangles, and Beads. Not, like, in the mainstream of, like, tunes that are really played now, so, like, what drew you to incorporate those tunes on this recording?
Well, look for a silver lining. I definitely always wanted to play. It's kind of a hard tune, man, just because it's so delicate in a way, you know?
Mhm.
And so and like I said, we used to play that back in the day. So that was on my mind. It's a blue world. I had this play at the 11th Street Bar every Monday with these cats. And so I learned that tune 10 years ago. They taught that to me. I went out and got the sheet music and learned it's a love song. And so I was playing, pretty familiar with that tune. And then, what was the other tune you had mentioned?
Baubles.
Oh, Bobbles. Yeah, you know, it's hard f I don't really play in 3 that I don't know that many waltzes. I wrote a couple, but, like, so I always have to, like, search for a good 3, 4 tune, so that was Bobbles, was the one I found for this recording. Just to, just so, like, when, Greg Gisbert listens to the record, he goes, "Man, there's no waltz on this record."
Knowing your audience, man, that's important, man.
That's all I care about, man, like, what do my peers think? I don't care.
Okay, alright, cool. Alright, and then, 5 originals? Maybe start with, the Hargrove, and you said this is for Roy, and so maybe talk about, like, your relationship with him, obviously tragic figure in this music, great figure in this music, but, as a trumpet player or maybe as a colleague or a friend, like, who was he to you?
Well, I agree with you. He was a important figure in our music, man, and, he was right in the beginning, I thought, man. You were there, when we used to, hang out at Smalls, and so I knew him back I guess I met him in '91, maybe '90, and when he was real young, and I didn't really know him, but we played together, like, we would s sit in together at Smalls. He'd come to my gig and just start playing, wouldn't talk to me, which
I've
m
been there, yeah,
I got mad at first, but then I was
yeah.
like when he didn't come, like, when I didn't see him for a while, I felt bad, so, like, after that, I was always and then as we got a little older and I saw how everybody looked up to him, and I did too, but we were more like, we were the same I'm actually older than him, so there was more I wasn't really the scene.
Yeah.
So so when I started to realize that everybody was looking up to him, I really wanted him to come by my I really,
Right, yeah.
but then as we got older, before he died, like, I guess 2017, 18, it's a long story, but we started to do this gig together at Mesro every Thursday night with Spike
Whoa,
Spike and Paul Gill.
I didn't know that.
And, yeah, so that was about almost a year we did that, and, then I got to know him. I really got to know Roy, and I really learned a lot from him that year. Just not so much what he played, even though that was also great, but just his approach to the music was so heavy that it really made an impact on me more than any more than most trumpet players have in my life. So that was good, and he's just a nice cat, man. I was very sad, and shocked when I heard the news, but he was just a nice cat, a very warm human being, and extremely talented, man. And he loved the music so much, man. he just loved the music. So I in the end, I really did look up to him. It was really cool. Wrote the little tune, and that the tune is so simple. That's Roy, man. Just simple. You know. Yeah, yeah.
I'm assuming veneration is along the same lines, like, when, one hears Joe Magnarelli play, you're hearing, that history of, like Lee Morgan, Clifford Brown, all those cats, and is that what that tune is kind of in reference to, like, your roots in this music?
Yeah, I would say just a overall respect for the music and the trumpet and stuff. Just like yeah. I mean, you said it right. Yeah, yeah. I would mention Kenny Dorham in there.
The one I was curious about before we go on to Concord, what's the significance there?
Well, just like the state of our society these days, just like Concord is a word that we should probably pay attention to because it means like, just, coming together and, just experiencing joy and, just being together, like a, together vibe. So, that's where I kind of came up with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, cool. Do you have a, like, compositional process? Probably different for every tune. I mean, did you sit down and say, "On this record, I wanna write something in tribute of Roy Hargrove"?
Well, I did do that. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, uh, yeah, I guess I did do that with Roy's tune. Yeah, yeah. I guess I did do that with Roy's tune. With Veneration, I had written a couple of years ago. It's just kinda sitting on my piano, and, the blues was kind of a new thing, but my process is more like, I practice. I'm not gonna say I play piano, but I practice piano almost every day, and, I could play a gig if it was just ballads, I could be okay, but yeah, but usually I just kinda like if I get an idea, I'll write it down, I'll keep it on the piano, then I just, every once in a while, I'll come back to it, kinda like that. And I do it in many different ways. I do it early in the morning, I do it late at night, I mean, all kinds of heads that I get into and just try to and, yeah, that's about it. I wouldn't say I'm like, I write a lot of tunes, but, I like to write, here and there.
Alright, cool. Let's talk about you as a educator. You're teaching at, Juilliard, no?
I just, resigned, but yeah, I was there for 14 years.
Okay. What, you retiring or, just time to go?
No, not retiring. No, I can't, I love Juilliard. It was great school, but it's just kind of time to step away from teaching.
Okay. So you're not teaching at all anymore? I mean, like, cats must, like, come from Ukraine, like, to New York and, like, w want a lesson with Joe, right?
Yeah, yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that. Sure, of course. I just don't want to, I didn't want to be the whole institution kind of thing. I had my fill, man. It was a good safety net, for many years. You know what I mean? So, and I'm really grateful I had the opportunity to do that stuff. Yeah.
Alright. What, any, like, strict guidelines or pressure with, Wynton Marsalis being in charge of the program, or were you just free to do what you needed to do?
Well, first of all, Wynton didn't hire me.
Okay.
Carl Allen did.
Oh, okay.
So Wynton just kind of, I guess, didn't fire me, but he would have never hired me, that's for sure. I know that. He wouldn't even my name wouldn't even cross his mind. That's for sure. But no, to be honest, man, I spoke like 3 words to Winton the whole time. I remember I said hello to him twice in the 7 years I was there with him, or however long. He's not really, I don't know, we don't really no, I mean, I like him, I think he's cool. I mean, I just don't know him, we don't really vibe. So he
Mhm.
never really said anything to me.
Alright. Well, I mean, so, like, what was the like, what are the students there? What are like, what are they wanting from you that you can give them? I mean, because there's probably, like, 4 or 5 choices of trumpet teachers there that they could go with, right?
Well, the interesting thing was I did teach trumpet students every year, but I also taught piano players and tenor and saxophone players. And really what that means is that they just wanna I just kinda, like, taught the language, you know what I mean? The tenor players, we got into cold just same thing, just the language, basically, analyzing the language from, an instrumentalist point of view, and then from the piano, and just how tunes work, and mostly tunes, like, just learning tunes and stuff. So I wasn't really like a trumpet guy as much as I was, just the language, which is makes sense,
Right. Okay. Well, cool. Well, I mean, like, when obviously, like, for me as a teacher, like, when students coming up, like, now that it's been, pushing 40 years since I was in college, there's a lot of different things, a lot of influences that young people are bringing to this music. And, like, so, I guess as their mentor, like, how are you encouraging them to deal with, this other music that's, maybe not part of your musical world into, this language that is obviously so important to, functioning, being able to play harmony and, swinging and all these things.
Well, that's a great question, and one of the reasons why I kinda got out of it because, um yeah, you're right, man. There's so many influences today musically that what is jazz? You know what I'm saying? Like you got to start asking yourself like and I started to realize that I mean, I'm gonna answer the question a couple different ways, but the first thing I realized is that a lot of these kids are great improvisers because they play their instruments so well. That's how they get into the Juilliard. I mean, they just, obviously they can really play. And then they can really improvise too. But the thing is, can you get them to see that there's something missing in the long run, there's gonna be something missing in this idiom if they don't, you know, put their arms around the swing aspect, which is basically African drums, man. Like just understanding that the music comes from there's a certain rhythm, a certain beat that certain cats I in my this is just my opinion, but, have spelled out like Art Blakey, Philly Joe, Cozy Cole, Kluk, all those cats, you know what I mean? I try to get into that. In other words, don't think of the music as an improviser, like I said, they're all great improvisers. They're thinking about the notes and how can I play these notes and those notes? And I was trying to get them to look at the rhythm. Like, instead of trying to push yourself forward, thinking about new notes and how to put the notes together, think about putting the rhythm together. Like, how can you get deeper in the rhythm? So that's where I was coming from, teaching wise, And then the other thing I would say, the other part of that I would say is that after especially after Winton got there, because everything changed. Everybody was just looking up to him, and it was getting I couldn't take it anymore. So, I started to, like, run the lessons like, "This is a class. You have an assignment. I'm not here to teach you how to play. You can play. You can play. But you have to, like, by in 2 weeks from now, you have to, get this together because it's an assignment." It's not like I'm not trying you're not here for enjoyment. You paid the money to come to the school. I'm hired to teach you. This is what you're gonna do. It's my responsibility, and because you have to trust me, like, in the long run, you're gonna be better off for it. You have to trust me. That's what the whole thing is, So that's where I was coming from, kinda like, just trying to give them like, in other words, I used to say, like, "Okay, so in other words, if I call you for a record date in 2 weeks and you didn't practice the music, that's cool? You think you can just say, 'Oh, I'll get it next week?' No, man. You know, I'm on the phone. somebody else is coming in. You know what I mean? So that's where I was coming from. Because these kids are so talented and already like so advanced that you have to, you know what I mean? You have to kind of like come in a different way. Where I taught at Temple and Jersey City also and Rutgers, and that was a whole that was much easier in a way. You know what I mean? Because and actually a lot more fun because you could actually get a student that wasn't really playing that good, but he had a good attitude, and you give him all this work, and I'm sure you've had the same experience, and that was fun. But I'm kind of done with it now, man. I just want to concentrate on my own music and my own playing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, obviously, before he passed, Frank Kimbrough was, on the podcast a number of years ago, and he told me he had at Juilliard, he had this student that was just so talented, he didn't know what to do with, and so he finally thought, "Oh, man, there's this really heavy" it's like 3 hours worth of music by, Messiaen called, like, the 24 Glances of Christ, and just crazy music, right? And so he mentions it to the kid, and the kid sits down, "Oh, you mean this?" Like, had it by memory. That's nuts, right, man? So did you get, like, resistance from, like, some of like, students saying, like, "Why do I need this, old man?" You know?
Couple times, yeah, couple times. Can I just say Frank Kimbrough was the greatest, man.
Yeah, yeah.
He was the great. He was actually the chair of the department for 1 year,
Really? Okay.
and he did a great job, man. Not and the guy, Aaron Flagg, who came in after him, also did a great job, but Frank did a great job, man. Really, it was yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but no, I definitely got that a few times.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, I'm just curious, man, if you could unpack, like, you're talking about the importance of this rhythmic thing. How would you, like, rather than, okay, go check out Art Blakey, I mean, what, like, if they had an assignment, what would that assignment look like?
Well, first of all, I would get a sense of their playing and what they're into, you know? And, let's say it's a trumpet player, of course, if he was more into, like, uh, let's just use a name like Kenny Wheeler kinda, like, direction, let's
Sure.
say,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
or or, whatever, just like that kinda thing, like, not so I would give him, like, I would find a solo that he or she could relate to. A lot of times with these great trumpet players, I would assign them piano solos. So, we would play McCoy's solo on Vision, or sometimes McCoy's couple courses on the blues before Train comes in on Training In live in Japan, like those kind of things where technically they actually had to work at it. You know what I mean? So and my theory was that that was their insight to the rhythm of the music by an instrumentalist. In other words, it's hard for a trumpet player just to listen to the drums and you know what I mean. So now if they like that's why like okay, so you start learning Clifford Brown or Fats Navarro, so you get the rhythmic concept of those guys, like how they played the rhythm. And to me, that's important as opposed to just playing the notes. Like rhythmically speaking, where are you coming from? Like, so in my mind, like Charlie Parker, Louis Armstrong, Train, McCoy, like, and of course, everybody, but like, those are my four kind of like, uh, you know, those are my staples of people that I try to get kids into because rhythmically, I think they're really advanced players for their time. Louis was very advanced for his time. Charlie Parker was extremely advanced for his time. So was Train for a moment there between like 1959 and when he passed, right? I mean, Sonny, I'm just these people were they were the greatest who ever did it. And to this point, right? Basically, now, if they were really into avant-garde, they wouldn't study with me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They wouldn't study with me. So, but like, I would, if a kid really wanted to play like Sonny, like he was into Sonny, then I would try to find some Sonny that he never, like some out, like 65, like that
Right.
three little words.
Yeah.
Like they like okay, the seventh chorus, get this, get so be like, oh, okay, so, I tried to find things on records that really would unlock something inside the student, and sometimes it really worked, man. Sometimes it really worked. Especially, I found that playing like there was three piano solos I had kids learn. Nice Work If You Can Get It by Bud Powell and McCoy's Vision And basically that's it. Oh well, there's another one too. Charles Erlin on ba boo ba doo ba doo da beep 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 ba whatever that tune is. It's been a while, but I had kids doing that years ago too, just for the funk and the melody of his yeah. So and I find that that works with kids. Like the real advanced. Because there's something they never thought of. So it's a challenge. Oh, I can get this.
Right. Sure.
Yeah, so it was, it worked out, yeah.
Alright, cool. So, here in New York, you're showing up at the places you should be showing up at. When we spoke a couple weeks ago, you said that you're playing with one European rhythm section in general. So let's talk about that, and like, how that happened, who these cats are, and, what is that like as opposed to, like, taking the guys on this recording to Europe, if that's, like, maybe it's not economically feasible at, this juncture. Yeah.
Well, let me just say that in 2005, 2006, I had a real manager in Italy,
Mm.
and he brought my band over with Tony Reedus, Paul Gill, Gary Versace, and myself, and we did a tour, and we did 2 tours, and the the first tour, I think I lost $200, and the second tour, I was like, "I'm not gonna lose money this tour, I'm gonna make money. Don't fool with me, man. Don't F with me, man." So so it was a great tour, man. It was a great tour. We made some great gigs, blah, blah, blah. We get to the airport, and everything's cool, man. I got my money, everybody got their money, everybody's happy, Regis is happy, everybody's happy, we're going home. So we're checking the basin, 'cause, this is 2005. Gil
Right.
brought his bass.
Yeah, yeah.
It's $900 to get the bass back home.
Oof.
So so my man who was booking it, he had basically his whole like half of and
Oosh.
that was the end of Joe Magnarelli bringing his band to Europe.
Oh, gotcha, man, gotcha.
Now I go and I play with these cats over there, and everybody's worried about my money. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Everybody's worried about me, man.
Yeah.
When I went with those cats, and those cats are the great. Don't I'm not those are 3 of the sweetest cats that you could ever be on the road with, for say so. Really, it's not about that. But, you have to worry about them because you
Yeah.
brought them. So when I go by myself, everybody's worried about me. That's a much better situation.
Alright, cool. And you dig playing with these cats?
Oh, yeah, well, Oliver Kent is the piano player. He was in our farmer's band.
Oh,
He
yeah,
was in New
yeah.
York. He was in New
Yeah,
York in the '90s. Great player,
yeah.
man. And he plays with Jesse over there.
Uh-huh.
We play well, a couple bass players lately, but we've been playing with, because his wife works for Delta or American Airlines or Canadian Airlines, but she's, Neil Swainson from Toronto's been coming over because he can fly free.
Oh,
So he's been coming, but there's a great bass player from, Genoa, Eldo Zanino usually does it. Great bass player, uh and the drummer is the cat who basically books us, and is a very great, very, really good drummer. His name is Bernd Reiter. He has a lot of experience. He was over there with Eric. He used to play with Eric over there. He booked Eric over there for like 8 years, and they had a falling out. He also used to play with Harold Mayburn over there. So he brought a lot of cats over. So since 2018, I've been going over there maybe, I don't know, 10 to 15 weeks a year,
oh,
and doing
wow.
some stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's great, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Alright,
yeah.
cool. So, before I let you go, what's next for Mags?
Uh, this summer I'm gonna try to practice. I had some things in the fall over in Europe, so I'm just gonna try to practice, man, and get some things that I've been thinking about in my head into my horn. And then starting in September, I start going back over to Europe, and this I got some gigs around New York. 11th Street Bar every Monday, and Ornithology once a month, and little gigs,
Okay.
here and there.
Alright.
And same as you.
Yeah, so this will come out, beginning of September. Anything in September you wanna, like, trumpet right now? No pun intended, but,
I have a gig at Smalls on the 21st of September, and not really, man. I'm gonna be in Italy from the 4th to the 16th.
okay.
And, nah, just around, man.
Alright, cool. Joe, great to, see you, and, the record's Concord, check it out. Go be on Spotify, actually buy that bad boy, and, like I said, record sounds great, and we'll, talk soon, man.
Thanks, Bix.
All right, be cool. Liner Notes is grateful for the support of Van Doren Reeds and Mouthpieces. Be sure and check out the Van Doren Advisory Studio in New York City for all your sound sculpting needs. Liner Notes is grateful for the support of Arlen's Good Beer in Bowling Green, Ohio. Engineered by Marco Mendoza. Visit his website at engineeredbymarco.com. The theme music is Hide, Seek, Find from my record Beatitude, out on Tiger Turn. Produced by David Bixler. Be sure and subscribe to Liner Notes wherever you find your podcasts. If you like what you hear, I ask that you consider supporting Liner Notes financially. You can do this by going to the Liner Notes tab at davidbixler.com. Thank you for your consideration.